We are live. So, good evening to you.
Howdy, howdy. How goes it?
Hey, well, I did not look at the weather, so I'm in shorts and short
Yep.
sleeves, and it looks a little blustery out there tonight.
The wind's a little chilly. We took CJ on a walk at lunch when I got home, and it was a little chilly. We had to get him a blanket, so you never know what it's going to be. Oh, yeah, they're Amarillo. I think they're...
Hello.
Yeah, Karen Paul finally going on a little bit of a trip. I think they're doing the Route 66 thing, if I'm not mistaken. They went to OKC and then head west. And I think they're at the spot with that big old 672 or 75 ounce steak. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think that's where they're at. So
Huh.
now, I think you got to eat. If you don't finish it in an hour, it's $100. And I'm telling you right now, there's no way I'm finishing that.
No, there's no way I'm getting around all that. I was about to ask, did your car break down? Because everyone's from Amarillo.
Yeah.
So, good evening, my brother Chad Price, in the Allen Plano Metroplex. Jason, we invoked your name today as our coffee connection. We have a pastor who is officing here on campus for the next, couple of weeks or so. And he was very enticed by your offerings to us. So, yeah, Viviana, I didn't bother to look. So,
you're just getting that point where there's Harley. Hi.
Harley.
You just get to that point where you think, oh, it's Texas. It's just going to get warmer from here on out. It's time to put away the hoodies and get out the shorts. Tanya was in capris today. That's cheating. That's neither pants nor shorts.
Yeah, that's an item that just doesn't know what it wants to be. So
now, because I have such short legs, remember men's cargo shorts used to be super long. Once we got out of the 90s, thousands, mid 2000s, cargo shorts were just so long. So I would wear cargo shorts and they would go way past my knees. I pretty much looked like I was wearing capris. Thankfully, that's kind of going away.
Well, they've kind of gone the other side of the pendulum. I've noticed professional basketball shorts are a little on the shorter, more snug side.
Yeah, I mean, they're not John Stockton, Tim Dorner, level yet, but they're getting there.
I mean, you could tend to small village underneath some of those back in the day. So
yeah, you're not a big basketball short basketball shorts fan, are you?
No, I mean, no, not a big fan of a lot of. I'm not an anti.
Right.
I just. So.
Is there any item of clothing or style or article of clothing that you would wear if it was socially acceptable for you to? I've got one in mind, so I'll let you think about it. We know Scott Smith would wear the kilt.
Well, given the right circumstance, I'd sport a kilt. I'm not problematic with that. If it were socially acceptable, I'm trying to think of what it would be. I don't know.
Tell you what, the guys' boots are super boring, and women have all these cool boots. They have stuff that look like they're from the Middle Ages that they all get to wear. And we all just have the same boring stuff. I'm like, I want to look like I'm from the Middle Ages. Like, I want cool middle-aged night boots, too.
There you go.
We don't get them. Yeah. Just get your boring old cowboy boots.
I guess, what's funny is, part of my thought process is anytime you do something like that, the potential of it being somewhere forever is real high.
Right.
And so now I find myself, there used to be a day I didn't think about it because there was no risk.
Right.
Today, you really want to think about, do I want this available for public viewing for the rest of my life?
Bring back the leisure suit. I know you had some of those back in the day.
Oh, man, yeah. Those were, evening, buddy. And I really thought I was killing it I did.
See, Viviana purchased capris to use as pants. I could do that.
Okay.
I could wear capris as
Now, are
pants.
capris the same thing as clam diggers?
Okay, so no one's used the word clam digger in like 300 years, but probably.
Or were they pedal pants? Was that what they?
Yeah, the capris are the ones that are like they go kind of they're below the knee but above the ankle. They're kind of like the 3/4 length pants.
Kind of like clam diggers.
Yeah, kind of like clam diggers. I don't think women like to go around in clothing called clam diggers, though. That might be capri sounds more feminine.
Texas, you'd have a limited audience, and then if you could dig up a clam down there, would you want to eat it?
I mean, down here they'd have to be crawdad diggers or something.
Right. And see, I'm really not interested in eating something I could fish out of the drainage ditch and alongside the road.
And now, to be fair, you're not a huge pedal push your pants. Now, to be fair, you're not a huge seafood fan to begin with.
Now, Chad asked a very good question.
Corduroys?
Corduroys. The problem with corduroys and my particular body style makes a lot of noise. And, and it is, let's just say that the corduroy portion of the pants don't hold up. So, yeah.
We've got all the women coming in here. Yeah, pedal pushers, clam diggers, capris, all the same.
You see how I lured the ladies into the conversation?
You know more about women's fashion than I do. That's all. I mean, that's not saying a whole lot because I don't know very much at all.
I mean,
why are they called pedal pushers?
Well, because you could wear them and they wouldn't get caught up in the bike.
Well, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Back in the day, so. But yeah.
Capri sounds French.
Yes. Yeah, it does have a bit of a hoity-toity sound to it.
I mean, there's an island of Capri. Mm-hmm. I think it's like in the Mediterranean somewhere.
Capri Sun, the small pouch drink.
That is true. There's the Capri Sun.
Yes.
That I don't know if they have. I mean, I'm assuming that's where they get the name Capri Sun from the island of Capri.
I don't know.
It's
made it up.
It sounds like a fun summer drink, Capri Sun. I'll tell you what. Here's a problem with Capri Sun as an adult. Okay, as a kid, they're great. As an adult, you take about 3 sips of a Capri Sun and it's gone.
Yeah.
It's out.
Yeah, one's just a starter.
Like, so then you have to go through like 3 of them. You feel like, they need like a Route 44 adult size Capri Sun.
Gauchos.
Oh, wow, we've got
Gauchos. Wait a minute. Split skirt and Gauchos? Gauchos are just like wide-legged capris.
I don't know. I regret what I've started.
Yes, that's right. This really feels like something Cody should be involved in.
That's true. He would know way more than we did.
Oh my goodness! So
Hawaiian Punch.
Well, there's a throwback. So yeah. Good day around campus. We have a guest pastor who is officing on campus, the Greenville Fellowship Bible Church is having to do some structural re-engineering on their building, and that has caused him to be displaced. And we all know that officing at home with, I don't know how many kiddos they have, I want to say 3, can be a little bit challenging. So we opened up the campus, and he's made himself at home in the children's church room, and so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. There's Jimmy's got a whole new person to tell jokes to that have never heard him before.
That's right, a whole new audience. He doesn't even know I'm an Eagle Scout.
Oh, now here we go. Now I don't. Now this is my era of jeans.
JNCOs.
Do you remember the JNCOs?
My gosh.
The giant wide-legged jeans.
And I remember there was the season of the tall tees, the T-shirts that were extra long. Yes, to cover up. If you had your pants on the ground.
Well, now mom jeans are back. Did you see that? Mom jeans are a thing again?
Oh, I'm completely blown away by the bell bottoms.
Yeah, the high ponytail. It's like, why do people, I don't know. Why did we wear those ugly things?
It's not fashion is secular, and
it's not why did we wear those ugly things. It's why are people now wearing them again? Harley's walking around with high ponytails, and people are wearing mom jeans. I'm like, that's the worst fashion we ever had.
So you say.
I say. I declare. I am the arbiter of fashion. I don't know if you knew that.
Don't you mansplain to these ladies what's fashionable.
Oh, I'll mansplain to men, to ladies, kids, dogs. I don't care. I got something in my eye. I am the arbiter of fashion, as you can tell by the fact that I wear jeans, boots, and either a hoodie or t-shirt every day.
I've become pretty simplistic. I really have.
Now you got some new shirts that are nice. You're rocking some new shirts.
My wife, obviously, has significant influence over that, and she has, great taste, and I always tell her, I said, if, first and foremost, I want you to like it because I really, everyone else is second at least, so
sure,
and. So yeah, got a few new shirts and
Speaking of Miss Sharon, she's got she did that piece of furniture that she's got up there now with the hutch that she rented. Man, that is gorgeous.
I think so too. Piece. But I am a little prejudiced, so.
Man, we got Melinda going off.
Slouch socks, neon crop tops, and mini skirts. Okay. Yeah.
Is that what's? Is she saying that's what's coming back?
Yeah. Slouch. Oh, okay. I know what that is. Yeah. Craziness. Crazy, man. Everything comes around. What comes around goes around.
Well, what never goes out of style is worshiping the Lord, and that, my friends, is a great segue.
How you do it,
Oh yeah,
we've come from the Gregorian chant to you.
Jeff says it's what she's wearing.
She might be.
She might be.
Now this is what I do know. She might be wearing it, but if she's not wearing it, she knows where she can find it upstairs.
Oh yeah. So, Melinda could do like a week, and she could go through the decades. She could do 2020s, 2010s, 2000s, 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s. She could rock it all. She could go probably have a different outfit for every the last 7 decades.
It'd be fun. What was the game where it'd be great if we had this TV show where people were just challenged to find in their attic?
Mm-hmm.
Because, Melinda would be the queen of that, so.
Hey, whatever, it's 2021, king, queen.
Yeah, however she identified. With that.
All right. Speaking of the decades, we're gonna start off with the 80s. We're gonna sing a song that came out. Actually, we're doing 3 songs from 3 different decades. Look at that. This one's from the 80s. Let me turn this down. Take my headphones out. Song came out the year I was born. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way. From the earth to the cross, my debt to pay. From the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high. All right. This next one, a couple decades later, by our buddy Matt Redman, our English songwriting friend. And your blood speaks a better word than all the empty claims I've heard upon this earth. Speaks righteousness for me, it stands in my defense. Jesus, it's your blood. Your blood speaks a better word than all the empty claims I've heard upon this earth. Speaks righteousness for me, it stands in my defense. Jesus, it's your blood. What can wash away our sins? What can make us whole again? Nothing but the blood, nothing but the blood of Jesus. What can wash us pure as snow? Welcome as the friends of God. Nothing but your blood, nothing but your blood, King Jesus. And your cross testifies in grace, tells of the Father's heart to make a way for us. Now boldly we approach, not earthly confidence, it's only by your blood. And what can wash away our sins? What can make us whole again? Nothing but the blood, nothing but the blood of Jesus. What can wash us pure as snow? Welcomed as the friends of God. Nothing but your blood, nothing but your blood, King Jesus. What can wash away our sins? What can make us whole again? Nothing but the blood, nothing but the blood of Jesus. What can wash us pure as snow? Welcomed as the friends of God. Nothing but your blood, nothing but your blood, King Jesus. one more. The newest of all these songs. Written by Bethel Music.
Deliverance from my enemies until all my fears are gone. 'Cause I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to mother's womb, you have chosen me. Love has called my name. I've been born again into your family. Your blood flows through my veins. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. No. Whoa. Whoa. Child of God, you split the sea. You split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears were drowned in perfect love. You rescued me so I could stand and sing. I am a child of God, and I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. No, I am a child of God. All right, Jimmy, back to you, sir.
All right, man. Good deal. Good deal. Good deal. Well, it was good to get back to our friend Mr. Nebuchadnezzar on Sunday. I've enjoyed our time with him. I think we've got, at least 2 more weeks with him. Could be longer. I don't know, but thinking 2. So it was good to get back. I really enjoyed this. And just a couple of things. One is if anyone would like to recommend a Bible story or a biblical account that would fit in our faith series, shoot that over to me. If you'd like to hear a faith encounter unpacked, shoot that over to me, and you just might get a chance to recommend one of our In God We Trust mini-series. So,
how long have we been doing In God We Trust now?
Well, I started it a year ago.
Wow. Oh, that's right.
And yeah, when COVID came on us, because I felt like we needed to be reminded of that. So, also, I know you and I've talked, but I was gonna give the answer to what was on the table.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. The living room may change when we go to a new mini series. We'll see. But so this week we had a top hat and a birthday cake, and so the top hat was a tip of the hat to the passing of Prince Philip the Royal, and the birthday cake is my father's birthday cake because today is my father's birthday.
Prince John.
Yes, Prince John. Absolutely. A prince among men for sure. So if you ever think those maybe don't mean anything, they do have meaning. And, sometimes you might figure it out, sometimes you won't. But it's a game we play. Always loved us. So
see, I should have gotten the royal one. I was thinking like Monopoly or something. I couldn't figure it out. The top hat threw me off.
Well, that's because you're an American. That's
true.
probably American.
Man, some of these Americans, they go crazy about all the royal stuff. I'm interested in it, but I mean, some people, it's like they're our king and queen.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I'm curious. Thank you, Viviana. I'm actually leaving here after we finish to join my family at the Chinese buffet.
Talk about a royal meal.
Yes, my father's choice, and it's one of the few places in town that'll fit us, even a small gathering of us. So that'll be good. So we step back into our look at Nebuchadnezzar, and we've seen a man who went into the dream factory in the first chapter and needed help trying to understand what this dream meant, and the Lord brought him to Daniel, and Daniel delivered the Lord's word to Nebuchadnezzar, and Nebuchadnezzar is affected by his encounter, but he's not changed by his encounter. That's an important truth that we want to be mindful of. Is a lot of people will encounter God and be affected by him, but it's did you hear that?
Yeah, what was it?
That was my digital secretary telling me I have something coming up. I don't think I've ever had that happen. But it's only when we meet the Lord and we are changed do we begin to see a transformation, do we begin to see the lasting fruits. And so our friend Nebuchadnezzar has encountered the Lord, but he wasn't changed by the Lord yet. Harley, get out of here. I'm teaching.
See, you need to get this. This is coffee with a little cinnamon.
Man.
That I get.
That's what teaching at home gets you. There's a guy outside. I asked him to come in and make me a cup. But so I wanted to reemphasize the keys to being useful in God's kingdom. Now, let me ask you this question, Josh. Mm-hmm. On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think the average believer's desire to be used in the kingdom work is? 10 is I'm all in and I'm in it to win it. 0 is, I don't know. I can't even think. But and I realize this may stir some people up, but if you were going to give a general, based on your years of being in the church and being in church work and around Christian people.
Well, I think if you asked everyone who claim the name of Christ, they would all say they desire it. They would say it. So that would be a 10. But as for the people that actually, where it's an actual true desire, where there's like some feet to that, man, unfortunately, I would say probably less than half.
Okay.
Probably a 5, probably a 4, maybe.
So you and I kind of boiled it down into one word just before we came on air. Do you remember what that word was?
Man, now I've lost it. What word?
Convenience.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Convenience. And it has been my experience that a great deal of ministry is not the most convenient of things. Now, sometimes it is. And so, we see these keys to being used, and we look at Daniel. And the reason I want to continue to emphasize these is because, one, I think they're true, but two, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, these guys are batting for average, because the first encounter when the king was in the Dream Factory was 18 to 20 years earlier from this encounter when he builds the statue. And next week, when we enter into the Dream Factory 2.0, that is another nearly 2 decades gap. And so we see that not only Nebuchadnezzar wrestling with the same issues, but we also see the faithfulness of these Hebrews, Daniel being specific, and the way they do it is they have to be a submission of the mind, heart, and will. That's a choice, a daily choice, a moment-by-moment choice, but that's a choice. Second is to do preparation to actually build skills. And let me also say this: not only preparation in building skills, but in making choices that don't disqualify you.
Right.
You can have all the skills in the world, but if you make that choice, it all goes away. It just like that, it can go away. And so the submission, the preparation, and then the third's the execution. It's actually doing the work. And that can be tough. That can be tough, because to do the work is going to cost us something. And it can be time, it can be emotion, it can be a lot of things. But everything in a life of quality costs us something. I'm trying to think of something of really lasting value that doesn't come with a cost of some sort.
Well, if it comes without a cost, if it comes without a cost to you, or at least someone else that because somebody can give you something as a gift, but it costs them time, money, effort. So if there's something that doesn't come with a cost, do you even value it? I mean, if somebody, if somebody's handed, I don't know, if someone's handed like a coupon off the street and they just, here you go, that doesn't mean anything to you. You know what I mean? Like so yeah, I would agree. I think that even if you get something for free, it's only valuable to you if it's cost someone else something, time, money. Like for instance, let's say somebody gets you a coffee mug. Actually, they could get you this one right here. This is one of the Starbucks ones you probably collected. This is the Dallas one. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Oh, okay.
See how no, this is the San Antonio one.
Okay.
So if somebody got you that, let's say they got it for $5, so it didn't cost them a lot of time, it didn't cost them a lot of money, but it did cost them a lot of relationship, because they know you well enough to know it's something that you would enjoy. So that is something. There's a cost to it.
And so, the execution part, and that's a challenge. Am I going to be willing to step in to the need? And I mentioned this Sunday. Oftentimes, I have seen when a person recognizes a need, there is a high probability that person very well could be the answer to the need.
Right.
But if we're not careful, we just want to. And what's interesting to that is, as pastors, and I had a conversation with one just a little while ago. If we're not careful, then we're the guy leaning into the breach every time.
Yeah.
And
it's not sustainable.
It is counterproductive on a lot of levels.
Wasn't that when we were talking with Miss Stacy, who does the homeschool stuff on Thursday? She said when she first started in Oregon or Washington, wherever she was, she said she kept saying, "Hey, our church, we need this here, we need this here, we need this here." And finally, it was like God was telling her, "Yeah, we need this here, and you need to do it."
She goes,
So
wait a minute.
if you have this passion, our church really needs this, or our community could use this ministry, that might be God telling you, "Hey, pick up the football and run with it."
And so we see here that Nebuchadnezzar had given into ego. He had built a statue. He required the leaders to bow to it. And the three Hebrews, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, refused. And it was just simply this. Their Bible, their God, says you don't bow to other gods. And it was just that clear. And they honored their God in standing. And the king brings them in, and he's going to give them another chance. And they said, "Hey, don't fret about it, because we're not going to bow." Now, that is that's just so powerful, because in your human nature you want to start negotiating.
Yeah.
Right, because he had already kind of flown off the handle, and he gets all out of his mind, and that's the thing too when we were talking about Nebuchadnezzar's interaction with God and God's man had affected him, but it hadn't changed him, because we see the same actions and attitudes, because he gets all riled up and he gets angry. And isn't it interesting that so many things in our world, people really don't understand the simple truth that sometimes to get something different, you have to do something different. And whether it's in a relationship, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people about a lot of relationships. And what's interesting is if you're able to talk long enough and there's enough transparency, you'll see a pattern of behavior. And, the key to that is changing your pattern of behavior.
Yeah, stop dating the same loser dude or same loser guy, girl that you find in the same spot that are just the same person.
Yeah, you don't find big mouth bass fishing for catfish. It just those two, they're in the same body of water, but two different things. And it's really hard, because we're creatures of nature and comfort, and whether it's our ego that says we can make things different. I know in my own life, there was a pattern of behavior that had to be broken. And what's interesting is the pattern of behavior that may need to be broken, the motivation for that change is as powerful, if not more so, than the recognition of the need of change. Why are you doing it? Now, what's interesting is, people often try to do things for other people, right? Mm-hmm. And it's powerful. It's a powerful thing, but given what it is, it may not be a lasting thing.
Right, because Nebuchadnezzar has some motivation for a little bit to change, but then you find that motivation doesn't. If that motivation doesn't transform into discipline or consistency, what pick your word there. For him, it probably would have been consistency. Because you're not going to stay motivated forever in the same. You can't, So you got to find a way to. Okay, he's motivated. Now, how do you become disciplined? How do you take that and make it consistent? Because anybody can have these. He keeps having these mountaintop experiences with God, and then 20 years down the road, he's got the same problem that he had before, because he doesn't develop that discipline. And we may not be the king of the world like Nebuchadnezzar, but same thing can happen to us.
Yeah, we are the king of your world, as
That's
it were.
True. That's true.
So, that we may be motivated for others or by others, and that's good. We might be motivated for ourselves. But even there can be a challenge because, like you say, passions wane and all those sort of things. I suggest to you that it is the motivation of God, the recognition of God, and the desire to please God. That's one of the most powerful and lasting.
Right.
And I guess everyone would expect me to say that, but it's not just that we recognize that something needs changed. It's also why we're doing it and for whom we're doing it. That is very, very, very important. And
because we've got to keep that perspective, especially when we're doing stuff at the church, because if you're doing it for someone at the church, well, what happens when they leave, or if they leave, or if they, move on to heaven or whatever, or if you're doing it for you, what happens when you don't have that motivation? But if you're doing it for God, that can be that. Hopefully, that'd be more, long lasting than just you or somebody else.
Well, and that's like determining whether or not you're going to come and be a part of Sunday morning church life, depending on who's leading music or who's teaching.
Right. Yeah.
I get it. My mother loved to hear me teach, and she had a higher motivation if I were the teacher. But we have to be very careful that those do not become the determining factors, because you're really tiptoeing towards idolatry. And I had to learn that way back when, because I found myself really, measuring things for the wrong reason. Because God's word, if God's word is actually being taught, there's something in there for you.
Yeah.
And even if it's the discipline of being faithful to the people, places, and things of church, that in of itself is valuable too. So we see Nebuchadnezzar, he gets all cranked up again, and he decides he's going to execute these guys. And I said Sunday that ungodly pride can make us self-centered, short-sighted, egotistical windbags, and that is the truth. And
there's a T-shirt.
That is, man. That has to go on the back. You need a nice big. But it's not only for the unsaved, but if we're not careful, this same product can come from the church. I mean, how many times have you seen someone and you just can't take it, just can't. It's just too much, So we see again, unfortunately, that Nebuchadnezzar had a recognition of God, but not a submission to God, and he determined that he was going to execute the three Hebrews. And I really kind of get lost in this a little bit, because it's always this thing: when our lives are on the line, where would we stand? And we see Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They took a bold stand, and they knew what their stand would cost them, because he was very committed, and ego's problematic and all those things.
Well, there's no more courageous stand than being willing to give up your life.
Yes.
And they say it. I mean, it doesn't matter. Basically, they say it doesn't matter if God saves us or not. We're not going to serve or worship your God. It doesn't matter what you do. You can throw us in the fire. It doesn't matter. We're not going to do it. Yeah, that's the line in the sand. And we should all have that. I mean, and I say that hoping never to be put to the test in that. But at the same point in time, like you always say, we're all called to give our lives either at one time or a little bit day by day. Yep. And to a degree, they all take a certain amount of courage, right. And they all take a certain amount of dying to yourself, and they all take a certain amount of going, it really doesn't matter in the end how other people treat me or what people say about me. What matters is, am I serving the Lord? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what matters.
So I put forth the idea. So here's these three men. They're fully committed, right? So They've submitted their minds, their hearts, and their wills. They've prepared, and now they're going to execute. They're going to step in to the breach. And we see it usually happens in one of two ways. We can see God's will, and then we step into it by faith.
Mm-hmm.
But these gentlemen are being asked to step, as it were, into the fire before they'll see the Lord. Now,
right,
guys, they said he'll deliver us. Well, he would deliver them temporarily back to this life, or he would deliver them eternally into the eternal life. But I would love to know, and maybe one day I'll get to ask. Scripture doesn't anywhere ever indicate that they saw the incarnation before they entered into the furnace.
Right. And because you could see that Nebuchadnezzar, sees him too once he looks in the fire, you would think that, no one could see him. That's what you would assume.
And it's so interesting to me is how the world tries to intimidate spiritualness, because when the king says, "Hey, not only am I going to throw you in the furnace, but I'm going to have him turn it up 7 times hotter," which it's not like out on the barbecue grill where you can see. But isn't it amazing how the world will try to intimidate people of faith? Because that's all that was. That was an intimidation factor. Whether it's 1 time hot or 7 times hot, it's still going to get the job done.
Yeah.
You're not going to survive any of it. But there is this motivation and angle of the world where it wants to intimidate you, and it wants to manipulate you into submission. And in my mind, my sanctified imagination, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, in my mind, Nebuchadnezzar hoped he was going to scare them into submission, because there's a part of me that thinks he really didn't want to have to do it. But now his ego and his mouth had painted him in a corner, and he could not do it. But if he could scare them into something. And it's interesting how the world really does try to intimidate us.
Well, I think that the world tries to intimidate Christians, I think, and I'm not limiting it just to America, because obviously we know that we have our brothers and sisters in China and some other places. They get it a lot worse than we do here, for sure. But I think a lot of it is motivated by, if Christians can turn, if Christians can fall, if Christians can be intimidated, then it's going to make the world feel better about themselves, because it's going to make them go like, oh, well, it's not real. We knew it wasn't real. We knew that they weren't any different than us, because that's what, as Christians, we go, we are fundamentally different than you, not because we're better people, not because any of that, but because we have faith in a risen Savior. We believe Jesus rose from the dead, and all the other stuff that goes with that. And if we can be intimidated, if we can fall, then the world goes, that's why it breaks my heart every time we see one of these pastors or whatever, fall. Because I know that the world goes, oh, see, he wasn't any different.
Yes.
They're not any different than us. And it gives them comfort for their own sin.
Right.
I think Nebuchadnezzar, on some level, it's the same thing. If they can bow to him, if they can relent, then he can go, oh, see, that the Yahweh, he's just, maybe he's a god like these other ones, but he's not any better. He's not any more powerful. They worship me, and it's going to make him feel better about himself.
It's just, it's so interesting that, the desire really is to try, I know some look for it, and others are, but I think part of the challenge that we face is the way that we carry ourselves and the posturing as Christians.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember where I heard it. It could be a lyric of a song. But I quoted it some time back because my little buddy Andrew Pendleton really liked it. It's this: as a believer, I want to be known by what I do, not by what I don't do.
Right.
And I think that's sometimes the pendulum here is the world if we're not careful, then we become known by what we do not do, and then that is the intimidation. Yeah. That's where they go. Well, I just don't get mad. Well, let's see.
Yeah, and then if we do it, yeah,
or fill in the blank. Whereas I've never had anyone saying, "Hey, would you please stop being kind to me? You're just being too kind to me," or stop, whatever that is. So I think if we find ourselves on the, kind of on the side of being attacked, we maybe we need to ask ourselves, what is it that we're being attacked for, and is it something that maybe we need to change?
Yeah, I mean, in that way, Paul is talking about the fruits of the Spirit, and he says, against these things there is no law, because it's all these positive things. And yeah, I agree. I think sometimes as Christians, we're super defensive. We're backed in a corner. We're being attacked for all these things. Well, I mean, we come from the Southern Baptist tradition. For a long time, Southern Baptists were known as, they don't go see movies, they don't dance, they don't, they don't do any of this stuff, right? Back in the day, yes. That's what defines them. And if you're defined as a Christian by the stuff you don't do, I agree. That's you leave yourself not a whole lot of wiggle room if you do any of those things. And second, like, what kind of message is that sending to the world? What kind of person sees those people and go, oh, you know what? I don't want to do any of those things either. Versus the fruits of the Spirit, where you go, hey, there's something different about these people. They have this joy, inexpressible joy, even through hard times, all that kind of stuff. I agree. I think we need to be known for what we do and how we're different, rather than a list of things that we don't do.
And I believe, it has been my experience that what faith and fellowship adds to my life is far more important, far more meaningful than what I have chosen to lay aside. And that's the thing is, the world, and rightly so, because that's what they hear so often, is the don'ts. And unfortunately, on the other side of the spectrum, you have those prosperity cats, and they're just giving you the do's. Well, a biblical Christian life is so much more than just what you choose to lay aside.
Right.
And what I don't do or I cannot do is such a short list. And the truth is the things that I choose not to do because of my faith and these things, if I'm just honest, they're a dead end anyway.
Well, and think about, Viviana said she was listening to a podcast today about this exact topic. I think about it think about it at your funeral. At your funeral, they're going to be saying, okay, here's, Brother Reverend Dr. Jimmy Vaughn, and here's all that he didn't do. He never cussed, and he never did this, right, and he never did that. And that's what you're going to, no, you're going to be like, look, this is how Jimmy's life was changed. Jimmy, he went to Russia and China, and he did, that's what you want to hear, what you did, who you were, not a list of all these things that, hey, let's give him a hand because he never did these things.
That's right. Well, I hope I didn't rob the same podcast Viviana listened to.
Right.
Yeah, wouldn't you love this funeral? Well, Joe, he paid his taxes.
Yeah.
And he had nearly a perfect credit score because his car payment was always on time, and he had an immaculate lawn. It was always nice, and because he always had plenty of time on Sundays to tend to that lawn and all those things. No, your funeral is a telling thing, because what in the world are they there for, and what about you is it that motivated them to be there?
Right.
What is your absence going to? It's so funny,
Yeah, you're not going to be known for all the stuff you didn't do.
No.
Good or bad, you're going to be known for the stuff that you did.
That's right.
And you get to choose, to a degree, what you want to be known for. And
I got, this is a long time ago. It was another place, so there's no risk here. But I attended a funeral years ago of an individual. I was there ministering to someone who I didn't know the individual who had passed, but I knew someone who that person was in, anyway. So I was there kind of second generation ministry supporting. And the only, I don't even know how to say this. The only thing they could say about the man was how big of a Cowboy fan he was.
Yeah.
And hey, and not that that's a bad thing. Hey.
No, but if that's the only thing.
If that's the only thing.
If that's what defines you as a human.
And I sat there and I thought, man, I mean, there wasn't anything else. I mean, this is.
Yeah.
And, and I realize I'm a jerk,
No.
Yeah, well, it's like going to church. You go to church and you go to, and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to kind of see what this is. So I was grading this funeral message. Anyway, but anyway, a long way to get there. But the interesting thing is sometimes the Lord will let us see before we step. And that's a wonderful thing. And it's really, really comforting and easy. But it has been my experience that more often than not, he calls us to step and then we'll see him.
Right.
And that's the challenge that we face in so many areas of our faith walk is, can we trust him? One is the Lord can always put in you what he wants out of you. Now, you may not go to seminary and things, but that's okay. But, he may not be calling you to pastor a church,
Right.
But that doesn't mean you can't teach, instruct, and those sort of things. And then, what I have found is that the greatest component needed to be successful, to be a part of God's kingdom work, the keys to success is available.
Oh, yeah.
If you will make yourself available, you will be amazed. And, another thing that's important, and let me just reiterate that here, is this, is if you try something and it's just not for you, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to go, man, this just didn't, like for me, I love little kids, and man, I'm going to tell you what, little kids are really digging me right now. It's kind of cool. But the idea of being like a VBS director or something like that is terrifying to me. It's not my bag.
Yeah.
I actually was invited to speak at a youth camp. Nearly 2 years ago now. And I really wrestled because I'm not sure if I still translate to teenagers. I mean,
right.
And part of the challenge is having the wisdom and the courage to go, Lord, I'll do whatever you would ask me to do, but this isn't necessarily where I'm most gifted to. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm. But if you feel called, try it. You're not. What are you afraid is going to happen? I think what people are afraid of is if they think if I say yes now, I'm saying yes for the next 20 years.
Right.
And that's not the case.
Obviously,
the hope is.
I've only been doing it 30 some odd years, but don't let that be a detractor for you.
Yeah. But just like, different, who's to say you can't do, you can't be involved in a ministry for a season and then God calls you to do something, a different ministry for a season? That's fine. Yes. It seems like we get one of two. We either get people who are afraid, oh man, if I say yes, then I'm going to be doing, nursery for the next 30 years. Or the opposite is, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to help out everywhere.
And one of the is the fear factor. Well, what if I don't do it well? Okay.
Yeah.
And
you're there.
Or what if I break the church? Well, let me just say this. You can't break the church, okay?
It's going to be okay.
God is more than able to overcome, your shortcoming, So now we cannot end without having this statement addressed publicly by you, Mr. Slinker.
I feel like you talked to him. He says that's what I think when I go to Chick-fil-A. They're way too nice. Something is up. No fast food worker enjoys their job that much. I tell you what, when I worked there, I really did enjoy it there. And one of the reasons they love their job so much is that they get Sundays off. You know, that's the reason I chose Chick-fil-A instead of Starbucks. I got offered both, and I was like, Chick-fil-A, I get Sundays off. And it's the Lord's chicken. You know, they put something in it, man. So they are that happy. Plus, a lot of them are homeschooled kids, and we're naturally polite. So, you know, maybe there's a couple things with that.
It is funny. I do. You know, it is still. Now, one of my funnest things to do at Chick-fil-A is, you know, you go in line and they'll go, "Can we have a name for the order?" And I'll give them, you know, Thomas or Santiago or someone. And you drive up and they go, "Thomas," and I go, "No." And I said, "You just asked for a name. You didn't ask for my name."
Yeah, so you're one of those guys that I loved having when I worked there.
Well, we always laugh, you know. We're all having fun. So you know, just to kind of close the loop, is you'll never be able to stand against the pressure if you don't do the preparation.
Right.
Preparation begins with the keys: submission, preparation, and then executing. You can't get the last one without the other one. And can you be a Christian without that? Yes. Can you experience the wholeness? I believe that as a believer, there's an element to our faith life that is only experienced through service.
Right.
Now, and whatever that looks like, you know, that's picking up a piece of trash as you walk by. I saw this the other day. I was at Sonic going through for a drink in the afternoon, and this young lady gets out of her car. She's obviously coming to work. I can tell. Context clues. She gets out of her car and I mean, within 6 inches steps on some energy drink can laying in the parking lot. She gets out of her car, she looks down, she sees it, and leaves it there. She walked past 2 trash cans to get in the building. And I said this out loud. That's the problem with our nation right there. So what I'm saying is this. It doesn't have to be grandiose or grand. It's the motivation for which we do it, and it's for whom we do it. And if you do a lot of little things, you know what? You're going to make a big difference.
Right.
And I want to make a big difference. I really do. One is I enjoy it. 2, it makes me feel good. I mean, and 3, you know, I want people to go, well, you know, that's that Jimmy, you know, I don't want them bragging on my credit score.
Or your Cowboys fandom.
Yeah, or, you know, or my book collection, or, you know, something like that. So let's just be diligent to that. You know, let's be step and then see believers. And one of the things I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt is if you will step and trust, you will be invited to do exceedingly and abundantly more than you ever would have imagined. I promise. So that being said, any last thoughts, sir?
Well, I think that I agree with all that, and I think a lot of this comes down to thinking beyond this moment and thinking about your legacy, thinking about the fact that we only have this one life and we're going to look back on it in eternity, and we've got this gift from God. Life is a gift, and what are we going to do with it? What do we want to do with it? And I think, you know, sometimes you can get so caught up. I know with me, I can get so distracted by the baby that's crying and the bill that's due and the yard that needs to get mowed, and all that stuff's important. But if we're not careful, we should take time every day even to go, hey, what am I doing for the kingdom? What am I doing today that's going to last? You know, that's going to be meaningful, that's going to go beyond just today. And this has helped me kind of think about that. And man, if I can do that every day, then there'll be something beyond my Cowboys or Mavericks fandom at my funeral.
So Sunday, We go back to the dream factory.
Nice.
Well, the question is, has Nebuchadnezzar changed? He's seen the power of the Lord. He's recognized the Lord's existence. Is he changed? The man saw the pre-incarnate Christ. Is he changed? We'll
find out.
We'll find out. All right, my brother. Well, I will bid you a fond adieu. I will shut down on my side and head out to the Chinese dinner birthday with my dad.
Have fun.
Hey, love you, appreciate you. Thank you, everyone, for being with us tonight. And we appreciate your time as always. And it's a gift that we treasure beyond words. See you soon.
See ya. All right, we got one. We'll do a little closing song since Jimmy left us. And if I can find my pick, there it is. I know I'd said it somewhere. And we're going to do a song we sang this Sunday. Just a little bit of it. Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. And teach me some melodious sonnet, sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mountain fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love. And oh, to grace how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be. And let thy grace, Lord, like a fetter, bind my wandering heart to thee. And prone to wander, Lord, I feel it, prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it for thy courts above. And here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it for thy courts above. Good night, guys.